Oh wait, are you?
We're live.
Oh,
Yeah,
we are live.
we're live.
We are live. All right, I gotta do it up.
Ryan hit the button early.
It seems to be a theme for me this week.
I know. We're very quick on the trigger.
The button must be changed. Like, did they change the source code or something? And you're just looking at the button, and it's just like taking up the whole screen. It's the only thing you can click.
Well, for some reason, I thought when I clicked the button, it would say, "Are you sure?" and then like a double confirm. And it didn't do
Ryan,
that.
you are not in charge of the nuclear launch codes. And the button.
I would not trust myself with launch codes.
I would throw on like the cyberpunk glasses too, but I can't deal with like the flashing.
Just over and over again, the whole thing. I'm just gonna put on my mask, and then we'll all have
I
something.
know
on.
it's
There we go.
Halloween episode here. Oh yeah, Ralph 3D printed a mask. That's awesome.
It actually took 36 hours, in case anyone's wondering how long it takes to print out a mask.
Now you got to add some RGB to it or some
I know, dude. There's so much I want to do. So much. It's so much. IoT. It's unhackable. I
wanted something to scare the kids for Halloween, but all I could think of was blinking lights like I have in my room here. So I think I just open the door real quick and have flashing lights everywhere might scare somebody.
For sure.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the CoinSec podcast, everybody. This is a very special episode. We have a guest today, guys, which is awesome.
Yay.
So we have Mudit Gupta, who is joining us to help us better understand the cream finance hack that happened recently this week. For anyone new that's watching that hasn't seen us before, our show, CoinSec Podcast, is a show that's basically built around talking through all of the security aspects around cryptocurrency and blockchain. Week to week, we try to talk about any of the latest hacks that have happened and try to break them down. So yeah, I'm super excited for this week. Mudit, I've been following you for a while now. I'll go ahead and introduce you too. So Mudit is a blockchain engineer and security researcher who is helping SushiSwap build their next gen AMM, Trident. And like I said, I've been following you for a while. I really, really love the work that you do whenever these hacks happen, where you're right on top of it and you provide an analysis almost immediately. It's so awesome. See how quickly.
Yeah, thank you. Like that means a lot to a lot coming from you. And so yeah, as far as analysis goes, I feel like sharing the knowledge, like knowledge is power and sharing is caring. So I definitely try to share as much as I can whenever I can.
Nice. Absolutely. And the thing that's cool about it too is the way that, the whole blockchain world works is everything's public, right? So all the transactions, it makes it accessible to go and say, oh, this is exactly what's happening. And I think it's great that you're able to go through it so quickly too. So today, the first thing we're going to go through here, I think, is maybe I don't know, Mudit, do you want to give any background about yourself at all before we kind of dive into the cream?
Yeah, I can start with that. So, I traditionally come from a security background. I've done sysadmin and pen testing in 2012, and so. After that, I got into blockchain. I started with Monero, then moved on to Ethereum eventually. I worked on Polkadot for about 3 years in between. And yeah, since I started out with a security knack for security, I've always been involved on the security side of blockchains. And currently working with SushiSwap, helping them build a secure AMM.
Very cool.
Nice.
Are there any specific programming languages that you started off with that kind of got you into this space, or that you continue with?
Yeah, over the years, I've actually used about a dozen languages, but my expertise really is in C++, Rust, Solidity, and JavaScript.
Okay, very good.
Oh, JavaScript. Oh God, I feel bad.
Well, that's what a lot of the Web3 frameworks are built around.
Yeah, it's a lot of JavaScript.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
I saw this tweet yesterday. It was like learning JavaScript is like looking both ways before you cross the street and then getting hit by a plane.
So, being a coder, do you have any automation built to keep up with any of the latest hacks that are going on? Or are you just happenstance be looking at the web and see, oh, something's happening, let me follow it real quick?
Yes, so most of it is still manual. Like the reasoning behind that is the hacks you see here are mostly like novel new attacks because there's so much at stake that as soon as a new like attack vector is determined, everyone just like fixes their stuff and whatnot. So
Mhm.
old attack vectors are like, at least in proper coding, like in secure code, you won't see a prior attack vector being repeated. So like for us it's really about mitigating those new attack vectors. But that being said, we do have like tools that do static analysis and stuff. So my
Mhm.
favorite is Slither from Trail of Bits that can
Sure.
detect your like basic issues. Other than that, like as far as analysis goes, so like once an incident has already happened, then definitely like we have a lot of tools for debugging and getting deep into the transaction traces and stuff like that. On that side, I usually use Tenderly, but for more complex transactions, honestly, Tenderly is quite slow these days. So ETH is another open source wonderful tool. Special shout out to them. And obviously, Etherscan, the block explorer, also
Mhm.
gives you a brief overview of what's going on.
That's
Awesome.
sweet. So you guys want to dive into the cream, as Bo said earlier?
Swimming in cream.
All right. So this is
Well,
not
I
the
don't think
first.
a lot of people are swimming in the cream right now. I think the problem is out of it.
Third time's a charm. Here, let's get them all out.
The cream is getting skimmed. The cream
So
is
this is
getting skimmed.
so this is not the first time Cream has had an issue. We actually talked about them back in August whenever they added AMP token to their platform, and that was one of the bigger hacks that happened a couple months ago. And now this latest hack, $130 million stolen. And Moody, you, like I said earlier, you posted an analysis very quickly. We have a blog link to your blog with the hack steps as well. One of the things I noticed is that there was like 30 steps to this attack. So this is one of the big reasons why I wanted to bring you on too, is to help us kind of understand what is actually happening here. Can you give us a rundown of what you see through this attack?
Yeah, definitely. So, first of all, this is one of the more complex attacks that have happened recently, and like credit, like I want to give credit to the hacker in the sense that it really is a sophisticated attack, and I can tell you like this is done by someone who like really knows what they are doing. Um, Although like I wish they wouldn't have done such a thing, but yeah, like this probably narrows down the pool of people who can pull this off to like maybe 100 people in the whole world. So yeah. uh, Now let's start with the attack itself. The summary of the attack was that someone managed to create a position in Cream where they were borrowing $1.5 billion worth of YUSD vault shares against a collateral of $2 billion ETH. Now, in normal cases, this is 75% loan to value, so it's all good. There's no issue here. But the issue happened when someone like the attacker managed to increase the value of YUSD um, to like double, like precisely double instantaneously. So now suddenly the $1.5 billion worth of YUSD became worth $3 billion. And now you can see the problem. The debt, the amount of assets being borrowed are worth $3 billion, but the collateral against that is only $2 billion, which means there is a deficit of at least $1 billion, and the borrower can just default at this moment. It's DeFi. The borrower is just an address. There is no social like security thingy or whatever. You can't really go after anyone for defaulting a loan. So like if ever, like if at any time in any DeFi protocol, collateralized DeFi protocol, if the collateral for a loan goes below the loan amount, uh, people are not gonna pay back. You can assume it's gonna be defaulted. So the same thing happened here. The attacker sort of defaulted and took away the profit. Um, Theoretically, they could have taken away as much as they wanted, but at that moment, Cream only had about $130 million worth of assets borrowable. So they went home with all of those. this was the summary. I can like dig into technical steps
Yeah,
now.
one of the things I wanted to ask is you noted in your analysis that some of the transactions were using EIP1559 and some weren't.
Yep.
So I was just curious, like, do you consider that kind of an OPSEC slip up, or maybe like a team of different people with different skill sets is working together on this?
Yes, so it's not an OPSEC like slip up. It sort of hints towards multiple people working, but not guarantees it. So some like base about EIP 1559 transactions and normal transactions is that both of them are valid. There's none of them leak any extra information or anything. The only difference is that the EIP 1559 transactions are the newer type, so they are more efficient and they can save you some money. So people do prefer to use those. But if someone is using legacy systems, they can still use the older transactions. The the two possible things that happened here, one is obviously the key was shared between two people. One had upgraded their system or whatever and is sending these newer transactions, while the other is still on the old legacy system. This is one plausible theory and quite likely. The other theory is that although by same person, the transactions are being done via two different mediums. So they might be using MetaMask for some of the transactions, which now does support EIP 1559. And for other transactions, they might have created like their own scripts in JavaScript or whatever to like make it simpler or something. And in that script, to keep things simpler, they might have kept them at the legacy level. So it's possible that it was one person just using two different types of transactions. But the second thing that happened also hints towards two people being involved. So after the attack, a bunch of funds were equally split between two addresses. So the like funds that they gained from the attack, they some of them are still in the address which did the attack, but a bunch were equally sent among two addresses, which sort of seems like a payoff for two people, like equal division and stuff. So it is like it also hints towards two people working on this. But again, like it's also possible that the attacker is trying to mislead us. So yeah, no guarantees
That
there.
deception.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
Never
It
know,
might be
right?
a honeypot. Yep.
So when I read this, I was thinking, how fast was this attack? Like, I mean, I know we kind of have the time slots here. So, like, how long did it take from the initial borrow to, taking the, defaulting and taking the profit?
Yeah, so the Cream protocol was wrecked within a single transaction. So,
Okay.
like, it was instantaneously, but the attack sort of continued for a little while after that because although like this one account has already defaulted, they hadn't withdrawn all of the tokens yet. So like due to practical gas limits, they had to
Mhm.
split their like withdrawals of funds into multiple transactions. So like once the attack had happened and the account had defaulted, Cream couldn't really do anything. So yeah, over the next 15 minutes or so, they withdrew all of the funds from Cream in multiple transactions, and then they started laundering all of those funds.
Dang.
Robbing banks sounds like a huge waste of time at this point if you can just
Yeah,
yank
right.
130 mil in 15 minutes. That's like the time it would take just to drive to a bank.
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
And
this is
it's
Oh,
it kind of brings up one of the things that we talk about quite a bit on this podcast, which is like how easy is it for a lot of these types of criminals to actually do stuff with this money, like after they've taken it, after they've gone and mixed it. Like I just want to get your kind of take on that. Like, do you think that people are actually kind of quote unquote getting away with it and actually using funds after they've washed them?
Yes, so it really comes down to the amount of funds that you're trying to move. So you can definitely move funds which will be enough to like let you live a fulfilling life forever, or like how many years you live. But moving like $100 million of fund in a single go will definitely get you caught. So
Mhm.
it really is about, like, as with traditional mediums, it's really about doing it slowly and across different mediums.
You talked about gas limits earlier in the splitting of the transactions. Do you know how much total gas was used for this loan, this flash loan?
So I haven't actually seen the exact numbers. I'm gonna, like, the block limit in Ethereum is about 20 million. Um, it can go up or down based on like the latest EIP1559, but
Mm-hmm.
based on that, I'm gonna guess the first transaction took about 20 million, and the future ones took a bit less. I can
Wow.
just open up Etherscan to confirm, but Etherscan, as always, is overloaded right now.
Sure.
So,
One. Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I just had this. This one might be a loaded question, but I do want to ask it. So, you think that these flash loans are good for DeFi, right?
Yes, I do, because it sort of makes the ground even for everyone. It's not like flash loans enable any new novel attacks. These attacks are or were already possible by people who have these sorts of funds. So, like the big whales and all who already have access to millions of dollars on chain, they don't need flash loans to pull these off. So, the only difference, like enabling flash loan does, is it opens up the playing field for everyone, not just the rich.
Hmm.
That's an interesting take. We saw, what was it? They somebody bought a CryptoPunk yesterday from themselves with a flash loan.
Yeah, like that's actually a very fun use case. And now, like, all of the stat pages and everything will show that, hey,
Mhm.
this punk is worth 500 million or whatever.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I think Ralph he wanted to ask that question. I think mainly because I think pretty much every week for the last couple months it's been like a flash loan exploit that we've talked about.
But
It's
just
like
set
it's
a
a,
transaction limit, people. It's like
well, no, it's like a so I think it's just a centerpiece for the attack, right? Like without the flash loan, it becomes to what you pointed out that someone who has to have all of that money in the real world, right? Where you can't just artificially create a one-time transaction with that much money. We could also argue that we could take down Bitcoin if I had enough real money, but I can't make a flash loan, right? To buy a bunch of crypto hardware to do, to take over the network. Does that make sense, right? So we're kind of artificially making something in a very short time that enables an attack. I mean, there's obviously other reasons why you would do this, and you're right, it does level the playing field, but how many people are playing in that playing field that have that money? I mean, are the people who have billions of dollars in cash going to even do this attack, right? Probably not.
Yeah, like I agree with that sentiment. So the, like, one comment I'll add there is now, especially in this space, there are more millionaires than, like, you can imagine. All of these people, like including, like, a bunch of anons and whatnot, whoever invested in these coins and like stuff 5 years ago is probably
Mhm.
a millionaire by now. So there definitely are a lot of people who can pull this off. The sort
Sure.
of the small difference in this attack in and traditional market is, and like the Bitcoin attack you mentioned, is if you do attack on Bitcoin, if you do an attack on Bitcoin, you are gonna lose money. You are not gonna be making money. If it was possible to make money by attacking Bitcoin, then I'm sure some billionaire would have already done it. Like the arbitrage field and whatnot, like uh, arbitrage is all about having funds and using them to make money.
Hmm.
This sort of opens up your not only arbitrages but also market manipulation to people. So that is definitely illegal. Like, people shouldn't be doing it. But it, like, the funds are there. It doesn't matter if you, like, want it or not.
Hmm.
yeah.
that
So
that actually
I
kind
have
of leads. Oh, go ahead.
So I was going to say, I have a question about, if you're building an AMP, solution, if you're building that for SushiSwap, I assume you look at these attacks on other providers and you're like, let's make sure we're not reusing their code. Let's make sure we're not, planning in the same vulnerabilities. How exactly does that process work from your perspective?
Yes, so honestly, most of it does come from experience. So these this is also why I keep following these new attacks so closely and trying to analyze them, because learning about new attack vectors is always helpful. So we have obviously based on our learnings, we have learned what to do and what not to do. So even at Sushi, we build borrowing and lending markets as well, which do the same feature as Aave and Cream, which recently got hacked. But based on our learnings in the previous year, we learned that having a single market where one asset can affect all other assets is not really great. So we have seen these guys first, the AMP token, it was really not compatible or buggy, that led to drainage of the whole market. Now this YUSD token led to drainage of all of the funds, not only the YUSD token. So we took that as a learning, and the lending borrowing protocol of Sushi, Kashi, is based on isolated markets. So if you like with isolated markets, if you're lending token X for token Y, then it can't affect any other token. You have just lent token X, and people can borrow people can borrow your token X against a collateral of token Y. uh, Lenders uh, cannot, there will be a given collateral and there will be a given token being borrowed. You can't do it universally. So if there was a market for YUSD and Ether, then someone providing YUSD, if I lent YUSD, someone else would have been able to borrow that YUSD and provide Ether as collateral. But someone would not have been able to borrow that YUSD and provide a DAI token as collateral or something. And someone would also not been able to provide YUSD as collateral and borrow DAI token in return. So you can't really mix and match in Kashi. You provide one token as collateral and you borrow other token, the opposite token. It sort of limits your attack service. If one token is buggy, just that market can be manipulated, not the whole system.
Is this network segmentation for blockchain? I'm so confused.
Yeah, it sort of is I know I did a bad job explaining it, but yeah, it sort of is network segregation for blockchain.
No, you
So-
did a good job explaining it. It's just, I'm not very smart.
Well, so that actually
Yeah.
leads me to another question that I wanted to ask. So in terms of the previous hack that happened, where they introduced the vulnerability by adding the AMP token, is this kind of a similar thing, or has this vulnerability been present for a long time?
So this was also introduced when they added YUSD Vault.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure when they added this token. It might have been there since day one, or it was added at a later date. But this vulnerability only became possible when they added this particular token.
So that makes me wonder, with that being said, do you think that, I guess, obviously the attackers were watching this, but do you think people are actively trying to find those new token pairs and then saying, hey, what is different from this token pair from all the other things that have been added previously, and can we exploit that?
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure people are out there doing that, and even this attacker, my working theory is that they actually started out trying to exploit Aave, not really Cream. They didn't find any such token on Aave, so they moved on to Cream and found one there. This is why, in their attack transaction, they have encoded a message which reads Aave lucky, Iron Bank lucky, and Cream not lucky, something along that lines. Uh, so, um, yeah, I do believe they started out. I mean, there are actors in this space definitely who are actively looking for vulnerabilities. Some might be looking for to get some bug bounties and stuff. Honestly, this space is now paying quite decent bug bounties compared to other traditional space. At Sushi, we paid out $1 million in a bug bounty just a couple of months ago. We have seen just last week
Yeah,
actually,
Polly
Matic
paid
paid
one,
out.
didn't it?
Yeah, Polygon paid out $2 million
$2
in bug
million.
bounty. Yep, and so yeah, like these amounts are like quite significant, so it's quite likely that people might have been just searching for bugs for these bounties. But when you find a bug, you see like if you do a black hat, you can make 130 million, versus if you report it, you make maybe 1 to 2 million.
Mm-hmm.
It sort of depends on the person, what they are gonna do.
Sure.
That,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
2 million legally though. 2 million
yeah,
legally.
you're
Now
not,
you
you're
can
not
claim
looking
on
over your
taxes.
shoulder when you're visiting the Baltic, you know.
Yeah.
so
Don't
well,
go
no,
to
so
Belarus.
I get the you know, doing it for the bug bounties, but the one thing that I don't really get, and I still am, I'm like, why is this a thing? Is like even in this case, you know, the attackers stole $130 million, and the Cream Finance actually sent them a message on the blockchain that said, okay, you know, we're wrecked, keep 10%, send the rest back. And this has been like a recurring theme we've seen a lot, where companies, blockchain companies that are getting hacked are basically pleading with the hackers, right, to give it back, and then telling them keep a percentage. And I almost like, I mean, it's still you know, a crime, right? Like they still technically committed a crime, so it's not like they can just like let it go. So I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that, Mudit. What do you think about the whole idea of like pleading with the hackers to just give them a bounty after the fact?
Yeah, definitely. So like yeah, I can so this is uh, I think this is the sort of the right way to do it, because of two reasons. One is like once you have been exploited, like you basically are trying everything you can to get back those funds. So if you can negotiate a deal at 10%, that's great. If you can negotiate one at 15%, do it. 20%, do it. Whatever you can get back, just get it back initially. Now the thing with this is, uh, even after you get back as much as possible, you can still do other stuff that you were planning on doing anyway. Like if you want to sue the attacker, you can still sue them after getting 90% back, uh, because of two reasons. One, firstly, you like as a blockchain company or whatever, they have no legal jurisdiction to be like uh, letting go of crimes of this person, or like making them free of crimes or whatnot. They are not the like president of the country, or like who can pardon criminals. So these are all like hollow words trying to get back their money. This is not gonna hold any value in legal terms. So I think as far as like negotiation process goes, it's a totally fine tactic from the blockchain companies to like by hook or crook try to get back as much as possible. Now once you get back, let's say you get back 90%, then you have a choice to make. If the remaining amount is worth going after the person, because if you go after this person legally after claiming this 90% thing or whatever, you risk PR damage, and also the legal costs and time it is going to take. So most companies like let it through, but like I can totally see if a large attack happens and someone returns 90% of the funds, but if the 10% is also significant, I can totally see people suing them for the remaining 10% as well.
Is anyone getting sued? Is anyone going to jail? And how does that affect this whole like, belief in DeFi, right? Or like or trust, really, not belief,
yeah.
trust. Yeah.
Yes, so like a lot of people claim code is law and whatnot, but I like code is not law. Code has never been law. Law is law, and law is open to interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like there's a reason why we have courts and we have long drawn cases and whatnot, because law is not black and white. It's always open to interpretation, and there is a moral aspect in law as well, especially when human judges are involved. So based on that, uh, it really like doesn't matter if I leave my house open. If you are gonna come and steal my money, I can sue your ass. So
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, like code is not the law.
We talked
It,
about this last week. Just getting a
yeah.
judge to understand like flash loans and all that stuff would probably take months.
Yeah.
It would be like
Yeah,
2
definitely.
years before they're like, okay, now we understand how the attacker did it.
But I mean, this is really akin to like what we see in the infosec industry of ransomware, right? I mean, these people exploiting these contracts and stuff can hold those funds at ransom. And I think that's probably going to be a trend that we see a little bit more often, are coming up, that these attackers kind of hold those funds and say, well, maybe 10%, how about 20%? Stuff like that.
The big difference, though, is where are the negotiations taking place, right? With blockchain companies, you can actually send them a message, right, on the blockchain, and it's possible for everyone to see that. So it's an interesting dynamic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. But honestly, the reality is most of the interesting communication still happens outside the public purview. Neither the attacker nor the blockchain companies really want to take out their dirty laundry on the public chain. So yeah, most of it
Or
still
pay the
happens
gas.
privately.
No one wants to pay the gas either. They're like, man,
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is costing us
It's a
lot
waste of
money,
gas.
these people.
Yeah, I can totally see in the future a hack app happening on the mainnet, and then the communication happening on something layer 2, maybe Optimism or something like that.
Because the gas is too high. Oh man! I mean, they did take a bunch of money. They got plenty of gas to spend, so miners rejoice.
Well, but Cream doesn't have any gas to spend.
Ouch! Burn too soon.
Burn too soon.
I didn't get rug pulled, so I'm okay.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, once you stay in this space for a while, you sort of become used to all of these things. I've been honestly, I've used maybe 100 protocols, and I've lost small amounts of money in maybe 10 or 20 hacks and rug pulls and whatnot. It doesn't really even affect me anymore. But yeah, I've learned hard lessons. Only risk what you can afford to lose, and definitely always do your risk and profit analysis and decide if you want to ape into a new project or not.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, you could look it up, but I wonder how many people were in that pool of that 130 million. How many people had invested in that? Was it like a few whales and then like a 10,000 people, or was it like a million people? It's interesting to think about.
No, definitely not a million. Most likely not even 10,000. My guess would be about 1,000 people.
Yeah,
Wow.
so big losses across the board. That's
Big
so
losses.
Yep. Yep. I know people who have lost multiple $1 million directly in this. So due to these gas costs, unfortunately, most of the DeFi, especially on the mainnet, is really just done by these whales. If you have anything less than $10,000, it's not even worth the gas price to deposit these into
Right.
any lending
Yeah.
platform or whatever.
Well, that's why we see so many of these new chains coming on the side, right? So
Yeah.
trying to fill that space of being able to do transactions fast before Ethereum 2 comes, right?
Yep.
Fast and cheap.
Yeah. And we jumped on the Binance network this summer and some other ones, right? I mean, there's a bunch now. It's like, we've been hunting for the new DeFi interface, the rug pull and the, hey, low gas fees or, but anyways, if you want to play with small amounts, you're not playing on ETH unless you've got a decent bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Even my positions, most of them have now been offboarded to L2s. There's no reason to be paying gas fee on the mainnet anymore, unless you are really, really concerned about security and are playing in millions of dollars on every transaction.
Mm-hmm.
All right, should we move on, Bo?
Sure.
Yeah, Mudit, you're welcome to join us and stay with us. I know you said you might have something going on, but we've got some more hacks to talk about if you want to hang out.
Yeah, just let me check. I think the call got delayed. I had something to jump on, but
the call got delayed because they were watching the stream.
Honestly, there's so much going on DeFi space right now that everyone is just running after one or thing. So yeah, I can stay for a bit longer and
sure, as long as you want.
Yeah, definitely. In this space right now, before you get on to topics that are already planned, I can give you some more context. Just in the last 3 days, I've seen at least 3 protocols get hacked, another handful get rug pulled, and at least a couple major ones currently in war rooms figuring out if this vulnerability applies to them or not. So yeah, like these last 2 days have been really tense on DeFi folks. It sort of is showing, at least on the crypto Twitter, if you are following devs there, like you'll see them for no reason fighting with one another. Like I feel like they're just blowing off steam, but it's like not healthy for anyone.
That actually brings up a good question. Where do you like to get your source of the latest hacks and news? Like, is it just Twitter, or do you have any other resources?
Yes, so most of it is Twitter. But that being said, I am in like a bazillion Discord groups and Telegram. So,
Yeah,
It's a curse.
yeah, like,
it's a curse. I got too many servers.
yeah, honestly, like all of them start as great resources, but after a while, they all become like shill fest for a company or something. So,
Mm.
Mhm.
I'm
That
like,
kind of
good
leads us to
segue.
story too.
Segway, yeah.
It's a good segue into our next topic, which is the CryptoPunks and other Discords getting hacked.
Not CryptoPunks, but yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Jungle Freaks, which is just
yeah,
the
Berex
CryptoPunks
and Jungle
number
Freaks.
2.
So yeah, this has been like a thing that I think has been honestly, like in the last month, like we've seen like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 maybe different Discord servers related to NFTs that have had some sort of compromise, and it's either been like the admin or whoever was running the Discord got popped somehow, and then post a message in the Discord saying, "Hey, our mint is live now," and everyone freaks out because they want to get on it quickly. So anyways, yeah, so this happened to Berex. I don't think there's a whole lot of details on that one. But then the Jungle Freaks one, so I was watching this as it happened last night. I was in the Discord and I was like, "Oh my god, like what's happening?" Like, they posted that there's going to be another 1,000 Jungle Freaks that you can mint. And it's like, it makes no sense, right? Because like, when do you ever like add more mints after the initial supply or whatever? But anyways, it was crazy to watch live because I could actually see where the attackers had control of the administrator's account. They were posting in the Discord, "Hey, go to this link where the NFTs are going like crazy, like we're almost out." Like they kept like posting in Discord, but they locked everyone else out. So they locked all the mods out. But what I could see is that I guess like the like one of the main admin guys he must have had it still like a session on his phone or something, because he was trying to like frantically tweet or or write in Discord like, "This is a scam, like don't click," but then the attackers were deleting his messages.
The real question is, should it be called phishing or should it be called dishing?
That's a good question.
Because it's all on Discord, right? I don't know. It's different.
Oh man. I feel like a bunch of these too are predicated with the webhook URLs, right? Which are like 2 clicks away from just giving full access to whatever in a lot of these servers, especially if the admin. So I'm not sure if that's exactly what happened, but I know that some of those have been leaked or somehow got it. I know that we actually talked about one last week where they were, I think, on a video stream and leaked the webhook URL like while they were doing the stream, and someone grabbed it and then used that to do. And anyways, so. Discord is, we have a bazillion Discords and people are using it there's like so many different ways to monetize this, man. Cause they're sitting there like dying to make a bet, buy an NFT, somehow going to make money. And, if you can just be on the other side and give the wrong address, you're winning. So,
yeah. I mean, Mudit talked about the human element, right? You have the human element of panic and frantic. Oh, I got to get where's my wallet? I got to approve this transaction. Oh, fuck. I just approved the wrong transaction and my money's gone. Right, like it happens so fast. It's like buying a GPU nowadays. You're like, oh my god, who do I hand my money to? Where?
yes, it's bad.
So keep your eyes out on Discord, guys. Don't
before clicking,
like that. Yeah.
Especially when it says approved transaction, yes or no.
So the next article that we've got up is one about police seizing 48 Bitcoin from a 16-year-old. So police were able to seize basically $2.75 million from a 16-year-old. So that number, like, think about that, 16, right? He's 16,
Man,
who
I'm
was able to
jealous.
scam that much money out of people. It's crazy, right?
Dad, I'm going to buy a Lambo. What do you mean, son? I can't afford that. No, I got it. I
Did
got
they take Bitcoin, Dad?
So
He can't even drive it.
So apparently he launched a fraudulent copy of Love2Shop, which is a gift voucher platform, used Google advertising to increase the website's visibility. So he pumped the visibility on Google. And then apparently harvested creds, harvested emails and passwords, which he was then able to use to gain access to 197 PayPal accounts and 12,000 credit cards.
Wow,
And,
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
even for an internal pen test, that's pretty good.
Yeah, why isn't this kid like in some kind of program to become a pen tester?
Can we get him on our
guide this
internship
person.
program? Can we get this on our internship program?
This brings up a great point about just like law enforcement in general and how probably far they are behind with doing any enforcement or catching people, right?
Mhm.
And I know in this article they did catch somebody, but I just can't think of all the cases where it's just like, well, it's just gone. That's just, this is the new Wild West of stealing money. I mean, screw going into the bank. That sounds like a lot of work, right?
It's also
plus you can't-
interesting because, right, so they said they seized it. I assume they mean they just seized his computer, right?
Yeah,
Like, they
that's
just
always such a
walked
fun word.
in and grabbed his computer, but what if the key is on the computer? Did they seize it? Kind of not, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could be convinced to give the password,
They're like, scan this QR code. Scan this QR code. No, I don't. I think that would be like
password or life in prison, your decision,
But that's Fifth Amendment, isn't it? You can't incriminate yourself, right?
What's up?
It's like,
Yeah, no, I mean, this was in the UK, right? So I don't know how their laws work. We're getting into like a whole different thing,
the
right?
Biscuit Amendment. Yeah.
Yeah, the Biscuit Amendment. Either way, yes. No, I don't know how it works out, but I do think it is funny, like you mentioned, that people are like, yeah, we seized the coins. I'm like, that there's no like physical thing. Like, I guess they got the laptop. It doesn't necessarily mean you have control over the wallet. So
the real question is, what are those 150 hours of unpaid work going to be? Is he going to be doing blockchain dev? Or are they going to be like 150 hours of JavaScript development for you, son?
It's literally like life in prison.
He's like, no, I'll just take life in prison. I don't want to.
I'll take life in prison. I don't want to do it. Not Java.
All right, so the next article we've got is actually it's a little bit of an older one. So this one's back from October 13th, but it's kind of a follow up to one of the stories we did a few weeks ago, where we started talking about how people are phishing Coinbase users. And what's interesting is apparently they have an actual like interface, right? Like so. In this article, Krebs walks through and he kind of shows this interface you can see on the screen here. I don't know, Ryan, maybe can you click that picture to bring it up? Yeah.
Enhance.
Yeah, enhance. Yeah, so it's interesting because I mean this is obviously a custom built tool purely for interacting with stealing of credentials and getting past MFA for Coinbase.
So this is the admin portal of the tool?
Yeah.
Right. So we're hacking back.
Yes. This is a little bit of a hack back.
So I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, they discovered the interface, right? Like I guess it had lackluster operational security, which is not unsurprising when you see attackers. You think
you can dir the web root, right?
Yeah,
it could be a whistleblower. I mean, it could be a whistleblower. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you think that everyone's got like this amazing attack OPSEC because they're conducting these attacks, but like eventually it gets at such mass market and such speed that it's just a freaking frantic mess out there of just junk actors, just trying to ride the train of the 15 other people who are being successful in front of them.
So did it not have authentication on it?
That's what it sounds like. Because
There was
talking about. Looks like they probably did a, like a web brute force or a dir search on the portal and found some directories. So
should we be showdanning the internet for this?
I would say probably just look for ghetto React.js interfaces with buttons that say send one-time password code.
Easy. So easy a caveman could do it.
Yeah, it is interesting though. I mean, it kind of brings up from a red team perspective, like, if you are going to execute one of these attacks that is sort of a multi-step, like incremental attack that requires user interaction at each step, you could definitely thanks Ryan for the highlight there. you could definitely use I could use an interface like this. We should probably be coding these more. Like a little button that says like send fish, and there's a button that says send device code, and then there's a button that says what, I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting thing. If you're scaling it though, like Ralph said, I assume this is scaled to thousands of threat actors, right? You have to build this kind of stuff.
That's pretty much how this game works, right? And what you're like, why isn't there a ton of this for like our tools and other kinds of attacks? And I'll tell you why. Because they're selling these to other people to execute the attack, right? You want to be the middleman broker on the attack tools. You want to sell the tool. You don't want to actually conduct the attack, because if they get caught, arrested, whatever, you're like, well, I mean, I didn't do it. I just made this tool, and they're not really going to come after you for making that tool. But the threat actor themselves, they're the ones who are taking the risk, and so I'll just take the easy money and making the tool, and that's why you see some of these one-click wonder tools, right? So
yeah, I mean, it's kind of like communicating with your hacker on the blockchain. The only people who win are the miners, right? They're like, oh yeah, I'll take the gas. I'll take the gas. Yep, just keep talking. Keep talking.
Yeah,
Our
miners. Yeah, right. It's like, are miners responsible for the the stolen funds because they allowed the
judge
transaction?
goes to the PC that confirmed the transaction. He's like, seize that PC. It confirmed the transaction of theft.
Yeah, that's obviously
it's aiding and abetting. It's aiding and abetting. You don't understand.
Over exaggeration, but still.
So this phishing page, from a even from a user's perspective, it looks somewhat legit. So what are they to do to just not enter their information? Are they looking for the little lockbox in the browser? They have to check the certificate. Is this some kind of like a man-in-the-middle proxy or evilgenics type thing running here?
Yeah, I read up. It's like a man-in-the-middle proxy type scenario, and that interface that we're looking at in that picture is them like reacting to it in real time, so that they can reprompt for whatever else is needed to make this transaction go through. Because Coinbase probably has some security controls in place that kind of prompt up for extra security in certain situations, and they're not sure about that. So it's just kind of working through the whole process and doing it in real time. So, and how much time you have left and gaining access, and then it's just a big show.
They got 579 clicks there. I wonder how many they sent. Wonder what their click rate is.
So at the top there, at the top of that article, they mentioned how there was 870 sets of credentials before the site was taken offline. So.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mudit, have you seen any of these phishing attacks against like these AMs and like swap
against you, really,
and stuff like that?
Have you been more of a target, right?
I mean, we see these phishing attacks against centralized exchanges, but are there people out there also trying to like take advantage of PancakeSwap or Uniswap and stuff like that with phishing? Have you seen any of that?
So I can comment on that. Like, we haven't seen any like real attack in the wild, but we have seen attempts to like pull it off. The like difference between like these phishing attacks on SEX and DEX are for SEX is obviously like the basic phishing attack is definitely going on, where you like change the name of the website a little, and then you send email blasts and whatnot and trick people into doing that. But otherwise, your like cross-site scripting and like injections attacks are really not possible, because most of these front ends are purely like front ends, purely like client-side code. There's no backend to like intercept or whatever. You can even run these on IPFS and stuff, so it quite limits your attack vector. That being said, I think like you guys also covered the Miso incident that happened recently. So yeah, that was one attack where the UI was compromised, and that led to like loss of funds. But again, like this has sort of become another vector that while we build smart contracts, we build it such that we are resistant to these sort of attacks. So like we try to limit the impact of malicious UI in the smart contract level, and like in a way that if there is a malicious UI, the contract will do something that will trigger off the alarms for the user, and they might lose an initial amount of money or whatnot, but it would be, or it should get immediately detected and not become an ongoing attack.
Right.
That's really interesting.
Phishing's bad.
It makes me wonder. So Mudit, do you think that there's any, I guess, like feasibility around the idea of doing like fully decentralized apps at some point, where you're hosting just like your own code, interacting with your own node for everything? Like, is that feasible for users at all?
So theoretically, it's already possible, but practically speaking, I don't see it ever being like practical.
Mainstream.
Just because people are the percentage of people who can actually run their own node and their own front ends, like they can start a local server and run a front end and stuff like that. It's quite limited. So not much effort is being put into this space, and that's why like we'll never see it actually come to life.
Yeah, it comes down to trust. People build these smaller communities in Discords or other areas where they feel like they can trust. Oh, I don't trust Alpaca, but I trust Swamp Finance or whatever. Just the interestingness of, oh, I know the developer. I like other people I know have invested more money than I would ever invest. Things like that is because it's so decentralized. There's not like, oh yeah, it's FDIC insured. It's fine. Like if I lose my money, the federal government will back it up. Like it's totally based on just personal opinions and feelings and trust.
But Corey, they had a smart contract audit by Hackers R Us.
They scored a C on. Yeah, they scored a C on. Yeah, you're right. I mean,
and then they
how many
changed
people
the
look at
smart
those?
contract and didn't have another audit.
Oh, that's how that works, man. I had to do another the financial like process. There's like a check sheet, right?
I mean steps. I don't know.
PCI compliance coming soon to blockchain.
Whoa, you just blew my mind. Oh my god, that's
blow your roll.
Yeah,
we're using
we
AES-256. You
we can't necess the blockchain. That's just you
can't necess the blockchain. Exactly.
Oh, Nessus is trying. Don't you worry.
Oh god, it's coming. Speaking of phishing, though, what about this coin market cap hack?
Yeah, so this one, I don't think there's actually like a clear indication of what happened here, but apparently 3.1 million email addresses associated with CoinMarketCap ended up on the internet somewhere.
I mean, I bet I know where it's at, but you know.
Yeah.
Hacking SQL injection. I don't know. Just
who So, all right. So why is this bad, though? I mean, obviously, this goes back to the phishing, right? These are all great users to phish for crypto scams, attacks, whatever it may be, right? So this is like your prime user list of everybody who's in crypto. You know, my mom doesn't have a crypto market cap account.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to have the passwords in the dump, right? Now, the email addresses are, lucrative enough.
Yeah, I think we can say if you use this platform, get ready for phishing.
Yeah, like I can tell you, like, my email got leaked as well here. But that being said, like my email has been leaked over 100 times now. So yeah,
same for all of us.
So, the source I can also
Haven't
comment
we
on.
all?
It was it was most likely a database leak. I can confirm it was not a man in the middle or like anything like that. It like I signed up for this service maybe like I don't know 3-4 years ago, and since the leak is happening now, it's definitely coming from their own database.
All right. Moving on. So the last but not least, probably the biggest story of this entire week was that Facebook rebranded to Meta.
Meanwhile, meta chains are probably on the rise, right?
Meta chain, there we go.
Meta chain, meta everything.
Yep.
Yeah, so I've seen quite a bit of, I guess, like different mindsets around what this means, and different people thinking that this is good and bad. Obviously, Facebook is a rather large company bringing this idea of a metaverse to everybody. On the other end, though, they also tend to control data and not be very decentralized. So I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts about this?
Are they coming out with a blockchain?
Creepy. They gotta be, or buying another blockchain. But it's extra creepy to me because they also own Oculus, right?
Yeah.
They own the company that makes the metaverse access tools.
And they did mention that NFTs will be acceptable. So like they will be implementing them somehow. So definitely some kind of blockchain here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's everything about Facebook is creepy, or Meta. I mean, they just put a mask on and change the name. Like everything's fine over here. It's not the same company.
I will say, like, even though we're doom and gloom, I don't think any of us use Facebook. If you do, I'm sorry for this, but basically, I think it is interesting to see a big company, a Fortune 500, right? They're like a big, at this point, they're kind of a household name. They're well known. They're a big, force in the industry, embracing something that most people are like, Metaverse, what the hell is that? Like, is this William Gibson's 1984 novel? Like, what are we like what is this? I think it is interesting that they've taken such an aggressive approach, and I think it's because they're their PR, their image is terrible right now, because it's like, fake news and like vaccine misinformation and all this stuff is like, that's really where they make headlines more often than not, and they've demonstrated time and time again they don't really care. They're like, well, yeah, you could use our platform to send fake news. That's
because
fine.
their market cap is 902 billion, ranked number 7. So you, we'll do what we want, right?
It's just interesting that a company that's this big and this kind of, at this point, blue chip on the internet, right? They've chosen to take this risk. I mean, I guess it could just be like corporate stuff like Google did with Alphabet, right? Like, it's still Google, but it's like Alphabet Inc. now. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how much they embrace it, whether they do buy a blockchain or mint, set up their own NFTs. Like, who knows? It'll be interesting to see. Will I have to mint my own NFT for my Facebook profile if I have one?
No, you won't be able to afford the gas. It's fine.
I want to. How much can I want to mint Zuck's Facebook profile. How much do you think that would cost?
It does make you wonder though, like if they embraced something like Ethereum or Solana or whatever, right? Like, that would probably tip the scale in that blockchain's direction, or at least quite a bit, right? I don't know. What's your thought on that, Mudit?
Yeah, sure. So, like, Facebook has been trying to get in this space for a while now. Like, if you guys remember Libra, like, they tried to make that happen. The regulators shut them down. But, like, yeah, Facebook has been trying to build a blockchain for a while. Libra still exists. They like might try to revive or remarket that, but I don't see them adopting a public blockchain. Honestly, it's just not really Facebook style to help public goods.
Can't control it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and the metaverse thing, honestly, like, has been pushed. The one reason is it's all really the hype. NFTs are all really about metaverse, and NFTs are really the hype right now, or at least they were a couple of months ago when all of these decisions probably happened at Facebook. So that probably had something to do with it. Alongside like they have to also see what competition is doing. Twitter has already announced that they will be adding support for NFT PFPs. Yeah, Facebook just didn't want to miss that hype train, I guess.
Right. Well, I mean, think of the marketing potential in a metaverse, right? I mean, all the fake billboards and whatever that are in the metaverse can be streaming whatever people want to pay you to put their billboard on your meta profile or whatever, right? So
and they can collect a fee for every piece of everything I buy for my metaverse avatar, right? They have Facebook Marketplace, I mean, everything, every hat I buy, every NFT I buy, they can collect a 1% fee or whatever, I guess it's Facebook 5% fee, and it's a lot of money. Like, that adds up. For sure.
Yeah. It's really just Minecraft Minecraft with better graphics.
Yeah, this is Ready Player One, kind of moving its way in, right? And then on top of that, just Facebook zucking everything. Like, that's what like the Facebook market is, just coming in and just being like, oh, it's free, it's better, and it is free and it is better. But hold on, I gotta tell you about this ad that so and so wants to sell you.
And there's an algorithm, right? They can show you like, oh, you looked at this, so this is all you're going to see now. Imagine that in the metaverse. Like, you go into one strip club one time.
It's just feeding it to you, man.
You set in the wrong coordinates in the metaverse, and now your algorithm is permanently poisoned. You know what I mean? What are you going to do?
Oh god,
I saw a funny tweet. Somebody said, so now are all my Facebook friends my meta friends?
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have real friends. You have meta friends. I have a ton of meta friends. I got like 3 real friends.
Awesome. Well, guys, I think that wraps it up for this episode. Moody, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. We will. We have the show notes up on the website, coinsecpodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter and subscribe on YouTube. And we will see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.